That's a good one. That's a good one. Oh, God, it's a toad, son. It's a toad, dude.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day.
Boom. Ben, you can't start the show off like that.
Oh, I can.
Folks, if you're watching this, if you're not watching this, like tune in to watch it because Ben has like one of the most adorable puppies hanging out in his lap right now. You got Ben. What's the puppy's name before we get kicking?
Matilda.
Ah, that was a great movie. I remember watching that movie when I was young.
Oh, yeah,
love that movie. Yeah.
Yeah, she loves the water. She hasn't been on the boat yet because it's I got it back last week, but now from the wrap and the decking, but it's now at the mechanic to get it serviced and my power poles put on, and then all my stuff's here to get my I'll bring my gas when I get it back. So within the next couple of weeks, she'll get her first little boat experience, and she loves swimming, so hopefully she doesn't jump off. And
tell Matilda to use her magical powers and bring Central North Carolina some more rain because we desperately need it. And she's not missing out on much because it's 976,000 degrees. And, we got some storms rolling through right now, folks. So if you hear some thunder in the background, just know that we love it because we need rain. What else do we love? We love having great guests on our shows, and you guys are going to have that tonight. We got 2 great guests from North Carolina Wildlife Resource Commission. Going to give you some really cool updates about what's going on in the Central North Carolina area and in the greater area here in North Carolina. What else do we love? We love OneCast Fishing. Head on over to onecastfishing.com. Use the code OneCast, all one word, at checkout. Save money. Ben's holding up a pack of soft plastics right now. Get your hands on all them snagless jigs, weedless Ned, soft plastics, long neck hooks, and everything to help you stay on the water and keep catching bass. Remember, a lunker's only one cast away. Also, while you're online, use that link we provide you. It's going to take you directly to Hobie Eyewear's website. When you check out, you're going to save 15%. Get your hands on all the different frames and lens options they have to offer. The new line made of 100% upcycled kayak plastic in different colors. Really catchy and snazzy. I'm going to stick with my Mojo Float 2.0s. I love those the most because they float. Never lose another pair of sunglasses.
I'll tell you, I give my neighbor, because we live on the water here, a pair of the whole floats because I was like, hey, you need some real glasses when you're out there fishing. He loves to fish. He goes out. He's got a pontoon boat. He loves a lot of crappie fishing and stuff. But I said, you need some real sunglasses,
some real ones.
And I was like, you know what? Let me go in there and find my pack of Hobies because I got tons of Hobies because I got one for every condition. But I had an extra pair of brand new whole floats, and I said, hey, Joe, come here. And I gave them to him. He opened it up. We walked out. He's like, holy crap. This is like X-ray vision. I could see all the way. I've never seen that far out. The whole line and everything. I was like, yeah, you've been missing out.
That's right.
If you don't have Hobies, you're going to be missing fish, especially during the spawn season, because you're going to miss them.
Well, tell your buddy Joe, just like we're going to tell the rest of the audience, even though he has X-ray vision, he also needs something else to help him out before his next fishing trip, and that's Deep Dive. Download the Deep Dive app at your app store, your Play Store. It's got all the different features that you're looking for to break down a body of water, tournament winning patterns, bait tool selection, water clarity, inflow, outflow, wind direction, water level. We'll talk about that a little bit later on the show, but make sure you guys download Deep Dive. They're a great partner of ours. We love having their product. Also, Central North Carolina is one of the most beautiful places I've ever lived. You're going to need to get a real estate agent to get you in the home of your dreams. That's Terry Carpenter. You can reach him at carpenter@hpw.com with Howard Perry Walson and Caldwell Banker. He's a bass fisherman, so that's a bonus right there. He's going to get that boat in the garage to stay protected from this 9 million degree weather that we have in Central North Carolina. And then finally, our good friends out of Indiana. We love them. WAYMIRE Group. They take care of you with every single piece and part that you need for your boat trailer. Trust me when I tell you, boat trailers are one of the most overlooked pieces of equipment when it comes to inspections. They are the most important piece of equipment to getting you to and from the body of water you're going to, and they will hook you up. They will take your order right over the phone at 1-800-434-4824. They got customer service representatives standing by. They're the best in the business, and they will ship it right to your doorstep, your Airbnb. While you're on the road, they've taken care of multiple touring anglers, us on the Bassmaster side, Major League Fishing side, and the MPFL side, and all over the country. make sure you guys hit them up, make that phone call, and tell them that the OneCast sent you. All right, I think that's everybody. I think I got it down. So we got a couple great guests that I talked about lined up. Ben and I are going to have a great conversation with them. And listen, after the show, after you guys listen to this, if you have any questions, they're going to provide you with emails and everything that you need to reach out to them, to ask them questions too, because I promise you, nobody wants to see our waters and all of our natural resources taken care of more than our biologists here in North Carolina. Look, we're all we all have conservation in our blood. We're all trying to do our part, clean the lakes up, make sure we're replanting aquatic vegetation, taking care of the fish population, all these things. But it can't be done without your guys' support. And what I mean by your guys is the entire audience that listens to this, because there's so few of them and there's so many of us that love to enjoy these natural resources. So we're going to bring them on to kind of talk about some of these updates and some of these initiatives going on in Central North Carolina. Let's bring them on real quick. So we got Kelsey Roberts and returning guest, returning friend of ours, Seth Mycko. Glad to have both of you guys on this afternoon with us and taking some time to update the audience on what we got going on in Central North Carolina. So, Seth, they already know you, so we're going to wait for you. Yeah, you go second. Kelsey, you want to introduce yourself to the audience and just tell us a little bit about what you got going on?
Yeah, sure. Thanks for having me today. My name's Kelsey Roberts. I am the Piedmont Fisheries Research Coordinator. So I am not a district biologist, but I am on the district biologists team, and we all work together to identify priorities for each region. And, sometimes that leads us into research projects like the F1 project we're going to talk about today. And then, other times I help them out with their vegetation projects, whatever they have on the docket for the year. So Seth and I work very closely together, and we're actually in the same office.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for jumping on the show with us. And Seth, before we jump into the F1 Bass project and stuff like that, you want to introduce yourself once again, because hopefully we have thousands of new followers and listeners to the show.
I hope so. Yeah, I am the District 5 sport fish biologist basically I cover everywhere from Greensboro to Durham and all the way to Virginia is the best way to think of it. The I-40 corridor from Chatham County north.
Awesome. So
I was going to say, Kelsey, you mentioned doing vegetation. I screamed at the people today that were spraying my lake.
Oh, man.
While they were coming through. It's a little HOA private lake, 400 acres, but they were out spraying. And I screamed at them, "Get away from my lawn!" like Clint Eastwood, Gran Torino, "Get off my lawn!" They moved because my neighbor told him not to spray his lawn, and there's a bunch of coontail and stuff blowing on my dock. And get away from my stuff because I don't want my grass going.
Yeah, we need that. We need that vegetation, man. We need it. If it's native, we want it.
That's right.
We'll stay there. If it's not native, I'm not telling you about it. But still,
exactly. He's also not telling you when he's planting it.
That is not true. That is not true. Fake news right there, folks. So Kelsey, like we said, glad to have you guys on. We did multiple shows with Seth, and we had Corey Oakley on before. And, we really talked when the F1 Bass project started up and we started stocking those in the 3 lakes here in North Carolina. At least I think it's 3. People are genuinely interested about that program and what the success rate was going to look like. And, why Jordan Lake, why what were the other 2, Norman and was it Gaston?
Gaston.
Yeah. So, and so for the audience, just to kind of go back, and you need to go back and listen to those episodes if you haven't, because you're about to get an update on the current situation. It was based on the fertility or the fertility of the lake? Is that a right thing?
Yeah.
Or
yeah.
I don't know. It's nutrient rich, right? Like Jordan Lake's really nutrient rich, and Lake Norman kind of like a Dead Sea, even though there's some big bass growing there now. So yeah, give us, if you wouldn't mind, give us an update. Give the audience an update where we stand on that project.
Yeah, you got it right. So we originally chose our lakes based on productivity. So it's kind of on a gradient, like you said. And the idea behind that really was to see if stocking these F1 bass would be beneficial in all three different systems. So we have, kind of a idea of where we think maybe it would do best in, but then there's also lakes that already have really good bass populations and are very productive. And so we might not be making, quite as much of a difference in those lakes compared to a lake like, Norman or Gaston, who has Alabama bass and who is less productive. And so we're treating them all as sort of like their own experiments, and then we're evaluating them every year. And I wish that I had a huge update for you guys today, but unfortunately we've only gotten a few years of our data back so far, which I'm not sure how much you guys have been updated on. Like, have we talked about results at all?
Well, let's just do a quick 5-10 minute recap. Either Kelsey, you or Seth, talk about what the F1 project was originally, why it was introduced, the 3 lakes, why you picked those, and what year it started and where we're at, kind of where we're at now.
Yeah, so the F1 bass, I guess for anyone who doesn't know what that is already, it's a 50-50 cross, first generation cross between a Florida bass and a largemouth bass. Depending on who you talk to, some people think that they're 2 different strains of largemouth bass. So you have the Florida largemouth bass and the northern largemouth bass. I think that's historically what anglers are used to talking about. And so the F1 is, in the research has been shown to grow faster, have an ultimate larger size overall, but only in certain areas and in highly controlled experiments. So this was our opportunity to test how they would do in a large reservoir system that was complex and, multiple systems across the state, which hasn't really been done before in North Carolina. And there are a few other states that are doing it. Virginia is one of them. And so there's just really not a lot in the literature to show us how they would perform in a lake that already has, really good resident bass. So we initiated the project we actually stocked our first fish in Norman back in 2021. And that was kind of before we got our feet under us and got some extra funding and kind of figured out how we wanted to do the project. And once we started stocking them at our target stocking rate, that was in 2022 in Lake Norman. And then the following year, we introduced Jordan and Lake Gaston. So we're stocking them at a rate of between 4 and 7, and it just kind of depends on our funding each year. But the target is a minimum of 4 fish per acre, which doesn't sound like a lot, but
for Jordan Lake, it's been 4 years now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we began stocking.
So theoretically, anglers should start really catching those fish if they're okay. They should be 2.5 pounds, maybe.
Well, so that's all
maybe
part of our
experiment,
right?
Yeah, we'll get to it.
I mean, we know what a typical bass in that system would, what size they would be at that age. But an F1 bass has been, shown to grow bigger and fatter by, by each age class. So we really don't know. How well they're going to grow in these systems.
Sure. Yeah. What for the anglers out there, is there any sort of physical indicators that they can maybe see? Obviously an Alabama bass we know has a tongue patch, and if you really want to know, you just got to look at the caudal peduncle on that thing and see if it's a northern spot or an Alabama spot. But, when it comes to an F1, it's pretty when you catch fish out of the Chowan or the Roanoke River and stuff like that, it's very obvious you're catching Florida bass, or they at least appear to be, right? Because just physical indicators. And then when you go to a place Mayo Lake, up in close to Roxborough. They look very different, right? But then you come down here to like central North Carolina, and there are some bass that I've caught out of Sharon Harris that look very much like a Florida bass, and then some that look like a Mayo bass. So for anglers that may be starting to catch these fish, which I think I did, because I've never caught so many dinks in my life about 4 years ago on Jordan. But is there anything that you can tell just physically looking at them?
To our knowledge, no.
Okay.
But it's interesting that you brought up the coastal bass, because I'm not sure how much background the previous biologists that have been here on here have given, but the coast is actually the only place that we have like some pure Florida bass.
Okay.
We don't have any populations that are like 100% pure Florida bass, but that's
Right.
if you want to catch a Florida bass, like that's where you should go.
Okay.
I think Seth and either Corey, I think you guys talked about that the last couple of
Okay.
times. And this
Yeah.
was I'm gonna get on my little rant here right now. Like, what makes a Florida bass different than a normal largemouth bass? And this goes on the bigger rant of the 18, 20 different species of black bass we have now for genetics, because they're using genetics, and you guys don't have to answer this because it's going to be a rant. What makes them a different species? And we got dogs, and there's a million different breeds, but they're all the canine species. Like, you biologists just want like your name on the fish, right? Like you want to discover something. What actually makes a different species or a different strain of bass? Like, what is it that differentiates the actual bass compared to and look, we can tell a smallmouth from a largemouth and even a spotted from a largemouth, but like it's very hard to tell an Alabama from a northern spot. Or you start talking Guadalupe and all these other different strains, and everything's got a different species now. Like, are they really that much different, or is it just an input of now? Oh, we found a little different strain of genetics, and now we can differentiate that.
That's a loaded question. Well, I will say that Seth and I are not geneticists, so we are like probably feeling the same way that you are, and many of the anglers are. And there's a lot of debate within the scientific community on a lot of these species. So, like, before, the Florida and Northern were considered the same species, and they were just different strains, and but now they're trying to separate them out as distinct species. And where does that leave North Carolina? Because we have both, and all of our lakes are essentially like mutts, just like a cross between the two. So yeah, it definitely gets very confusing. I would say there's
blame it on the geneticists. They're just making stuff up.
Yeah, maybe.
Just making stuff up because
I want my own strain.
I know exactly what it comes down to. Like, and like the dogs is the best comparison I have to. Like, they're all canine species or whatever, right? And there's a million different. They all look different.
Yeah,
different breeds and stuff. So, like, what's the difference between a breed and a species? And same thing with bass. Like,
well, maybe we can get one of the
northern
geneticists.
Or,
is that how do you say their job?
yeah, does North Carolina have any geneticists on their board? Really?
Yes, we have one that works for us, and then we have some geneticists that work for the museum. And so
yeah.
Oh,
yeah, they'd be the ones to talk to about that. I can give you the like ecology broad overview of how speciation like works, but they could get into the nitty gritty and hopefully put it in words that most people can understand, because I'm still trying to wrap my head around it.
It's all good. That's not what we went to school for, so we'll let them do that job. But so we got Lake Gaston, we got Jordan Lake, we got Lake Norman. And so, you guys have been collecting data or attempting to collect data for years on this F1 bass project, correct? How do you do that? How do you collect? So there's a lot of non-tournament anglers, and I know how you do it from one perspective, and that's at our tournaments. Sometimes you will show up at the tournaments, you'll take samples of the fish, which has been an awesome thing to witness. And I've seen Seth out at a number of our events And it's really cool and for you tournament directors, like that is and I don't think they can stop you anyways, can they? But even if it's a permission thing or non-permission thing, like it's an absolutely needed thing. So for all the local tournament directors around here, like keep getting NCWRC involved so that we can keep studying these fish. But that's one way to collect. How else are you guys collecting samples on these fish?
Yeah, so it all kind of ties into what Ben brought up, is that we can't identify them physically. Yep. So we have to send everything away for genetics. And that's what's been kind of the holdup with getting a lot of our results back, because it just takes a long time. Yep. And there's a ton of people out there right now, like we just talked about, wanting to do black bass genetics. So, as far as the surveying goes, I think Seth would probably be better to describe what what kind of surveys we're doing right now to evaluate the project.
So before we move to Seth on that one, do you Kelsey, in your opinion, you talked about Virginia's doing it, maybe some other states are doing it and stuff like that. Is there cross communication between NCWRC and those other states? And then B, what is some of that feedback? Does anybody have any like true feedback on this program?
Yeah, absolutely. We talk to the Virginia folks periodically. I mean, we're not like in frequent contact with them, but we do get updates every now and again. There are some other states that are trying to introduce this program, and there's other southeastern states that have different stocking programs where they, from the shoreline purr to the, they've stocked pure Floridas to try to tilt certain populations toward a Florida bass population. So we're really just kind of at the beginning of experimenting with different types of stocking for bass, because historically as scientists and biologists, we, like most people, don't think that stocking bass is going to be super beneficial. Okay. But that was before we had genetics. And so now we can kind of really tailor what we're stocking based on each individual system. Mm-hmm. And what we've seen from North Carolina and just from talking to Virginia is just a lot of positive feedback. I think folks are really excited about the program. And I think they're seeing results, whether they're catching F1s or not. They're happy, and they're, especially in Lake Norman, we've heard really good things out there. And we have gotten some data back, which we can talk about after Seth goes into how we collect the data.
Yeah, let's jump.
Before we move into Seth, this is crazy. Can we design a virus to kill all the Alabama spots? Just target their genetics.
I mean, now we're talking biological warfare.
Hey, that's a whole nother topic for another day. There are some biological tools that
there is research going on into that kind of thing. Yeah, with certain like entomology species and small bugs and stuff. I think mosquito research is doing that big time right now.
Let's give the Alabama bass the new COVID-19.
Yeah, so we're probably going to work our way up the taxonomic ladder over the next 50 years.
Well, Seth, talk the audience through basically, and this is a good transition point because you guys, obviously did some shock surveys, and I think that's part of what you're going to talk about anyways. But how do you go about collecting that data, and what are the different methods, and then how long does it take to get the data back?
Oh Lord, yeah, it's been close to a year to get it back. We are running a lot more stuff in-house now, so that will hopefully help us expedite the processing a little faster. But we're also taking a lot of samples from all three lakes now too. So that'll probably bog us down. Even internally, that'll bog us down now that we're collecting from all three reservoirs instead of just Norman.
Okay.
But we've selected about 30 sites within Jordan that we're going to every year. And we do about 10 or 12 minutes of electrofishing at each site. Those are all throughout the lake, from way up New Hope Creek all the way down to Stinking Quarter on the lower end on that Hall River side. And we shoot to, right there in the middle of April, which of course is prime fishing time, but it's prime electrofishing time too. And so we're out there anywhere from 5 to 10 days in April, surveying those 30 sites. And then we're fin clipping those fish and, sending those fin clips out to see if they're F1s or not.
Okay.
And
Can you do that in front of
5 of those sites are the actual places where we stock the fish, where we put them on boats and drive them out to stock them.
Yep.
5 of those 30 are the actual stocking locations.
And you're basically looking for their migration pattern and everything, how much they're moving all over the lake and stuff.
We'll get a grand idea of that. Like we're actually not stocking in beaver at all. So
No?
if we catch an F1 in beaver, we know that either an angler moved it there or it swam there on its own.
There's a possibility of both.
Can you all disclose where you all released the F1 bass?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Which creeks did you guys dump?
Yeah, you know where the campground in White Oak is? Past
Sure
the bridge?
do.
Right there on the right at the campground, basically like at the campground.
Yep.
Like you can see campers from where we put the fish in White Oak. And then like right across from Farrington Point where that bay is, where used to be a bunch of water willow back there, but now it's all been about flooded out. There's that little bay protected by that roadbed. So we put them back there in that little bay. And then in Stinking Quarter Creek, about halfway back past the cypress tree.
Okay.
Oh,
On the right side of Stinking Quarter.
Yep.
And then right at the mouth of Parker's Creek.
Okay.
Basically like at
pretty
the main.
much all on the west side.
Yep, 3 on the west, and then if you count White Oak as the east,
Yeah. White Oak's east.
Yeah,
That's still a long ways for beaver for them to swim.
yeah. So that'll be really interesting to watch that beaver. Because we're doing surveys in beaver just regularly anyhow. So it'll be interesting to see if we have any F1s come out.
It makes me remember the telemetry study they did at
Toledo Bend.
Lake Fork.
Toledo Bend.
Released it to Toledo Bend a few years ago. That most of the bass that they were tracking stayed within that creek.
Yeah.
Now they had some that moved out to the mouth and stuff, and some weird ones, but they had a couple that were like they went off the map.
Yeah.
Forever. And then they thought they died, and then they came back. So who knows where they went?
They those bass just went running. You know what I mean? Like
who knows where they went?
But there's definitely a few ways. Obviously, anglers will put them in their live wells and run around with them and take pictures later on for social media purposes.
Yeah.
There's tournaments that are ran out of Ebenezer ramp, and the fish will be released right there that are caught all over the lake. They may make a migration. Maybe a bird drops it out of its mouth when it's flying. Who knows, right? But so you guys, Seth, I think it's important. So obviously we know how you're doing it. Taking the sampling and stuff like that. I think it's important, though, that we're having this conversation because there was a bunch of scuttlebutt on the social media platforms and stuff a few months back as you guys were doing your shock surveys on Jordan Lake and you talked about what you did. But can you go ahead and debunk or maybe confirm and debunk some of the information that everyone was, so loud about?
Yeah, I can. And I guess we got to start out by saying we do have to sacrifice some of those fish that we collect. I know there was a lot of rumors swirling about like we killed 600 fish or something like that, but it's usually, just a small proportion of the fish that we collect that we have to sacrifice.
Time out here. I don't want anglers complaining about fish mortality when they fish Tuesday night tournaments and all those 6-pounders are floating at Farrington or Post Ridge, and 85-degree weather, and you just kept the big ones and they're all floating out there dead. So don't even talk about that, anglers. Like you guys, we're all kind of responsible for that.
That part of that rumor is definitely true that we had to sacrifice a portion of what we collected.
Sure.
But that's how we know how old those fish are, is by doing that. We take a bone out of their inner ear structure to age them with.
Yep. And you can't do that when the fish is alive.
No, there's some older methods that have been proven to be false, like scales. If they lose a scale, it'll regenerate from that day. So it might not be as old as the fish is itself and things like that.
Yep.
So that's the only surefire way to know how old a largemouth bass is.
So what was the biggest, one of the biggest stinks on the platforms was you guys basically killed all the fish that you shocked.
Yeah.
Right? Killed all the fish that you shocked.
Yeah.
Out of the let's put the truth out here. How many fish, if you offhand or approximate, how many fish did you shock out of Jordan Lake in that span?
It was 263 fish this year.
Okay.
263.
And you did that in very, very small areas, correct?
Yeah. Yeah. So in those 12 minutes that we're shocking, it's probably 600 meters of the shoreline.
600 meters of the shoreline.
Yeah.
12 minutes, 600 meters.
Yeah.
And 200 and some fish.
No, so each site is about 600 meters. So it'd be 30 times 600 is what we're surveying to get those.
Okay.
Okay. I was about to say we might need to keep a lot more
Jordan,
bass.
We have lakes that are that productive.
Yeah.
But no, Jordan is probably about like 40 fish per hour.
Okay.
That's still a lot of that's still.
Yeah.
Well, and that's only the ones that are moved up on the shoreline when you're shocking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is a fish every minute and 15 seconds or something like that.
Dang.
That's still like
there's a lot out there.
I mean, as an angler, it's like one of those things. It's the old story, like,
and I can't catch 5.
I wasn't out there. Yeah, exactly. But a guy told me,
Unreal.
I forget which lake it was on, but it was somewhere here in North Carolina. Like, he was fishing out in the spring. It might have been one of the Yak and Chain lakes because it was docks. He saw like 10 boats fish this dock, and he fished that dock, and no one caught a fish. And then the shocking boat came by, and 15 bass floated out from under it. It's like, well, no, they're there. It's just they didn't want to eat what you were throwing.
Yeah, they've seen 967,000 wacky worms go past their face today. You know what I mean?
That's what's driving this urchin craze. You know,
my God!
I don't think that urchin
phase will end in a year.
Natural. I just think it's something they haven't seen in their 17 years of swimming in the lake.
They're gagging that bait. I mean, chewing it hard.
It's going to end in a year to 18 months. It won't be as.
Yeah.
And right now, I think it just kind of looks like a little bait ball and like.
Yeah, I really.
That's what my theory is. But in a year to 18 months, they're all going to see them, and it's not going to be the same.
Yeah.
That's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So you shocked Jordan. You hit a small sections, 12 minutes at a time, if I'm accurate on this.
Yep.
So total number of fish that you had to take out to do the bone sample behind the ear, how many was that?
It was probably the bulk of those because we caught so many different size classes.
Mm-hmm.
So just because we want to make sure that those F1s are growing to the size they need, that they're being marketed to get to, we're making sure that we subsample a lot more of the size classes.
Sure.
So every 10 millimeter bin, we're taking probably 10 fish per 10 millimeters of size gain.
Okay. So basically,
probably, close to 80-90% of those just for the survey.
And our analysis,
we're not going to be doing that every year either.
Right.
Our analysis is not worth anything if we don't get that. Like we have to look at growth. That's the only way to say they're growing faster than the largemouth bass. So it's really necessary information.
Yep.
It is.
Let me put this into perspective for folks as well. There's a creel limit on these lakes. So if I want to go out and harvest a bass, I can go out and harvest 5, and each lake has its own regulations, right? But nevertheless, 5 over 14 inches, let's call it that. I can do that
per day.
Mm-hmm. And if there's a 60 boat tournament and each person has 5, they can take all of them they could have a tournament every day if they had a permit for it. Right. So, here's the thing that, drives me nuts about the internet keyboard warriors, man. And I'll call you out and you can DM me. That I have no problems with that whatsoever. Like the bottom line is our biologists and our people that are trying to gather this data, they're not going to do something to harm the water. They're doing it to help the water. They're doing it to help the resource, right?
Yeah.
In fact, and we all know Ray Scott is a legend, right? of the bass fishing, competitive bass fishing sport. He was super integral in conservation efforts, and still to this day that, the catch, weigh, release format exists. But if you rewind in time, they weren't catch, weigh, release. There was a bunch of dead bass. There was a lot of
they used to have like 7 bass limits,
10 bass limits, whatever. And now I'm seeing, as an angler, I'm seeing a reverse effect of how ingrained it is and how much of I don't even know the word I'm looking for, how much of a black eye it is if you as a human being with a proper fishing license keeps a bass and eats
100%.
it. Right?
It's been that way forever.
And so you look at a place like, and I'm gonna keep saying it, you look at a place like Sharon Harris, and you guys discuss this. There's a difference between a healthy fishery and a healthy fishing, right? Like two different things, or a good fishery and good fishing. And maybe we can talk about that too. But Sharon Harris, you're starting to see monster bags come out of there.
Yeah.
Like 29-pound bags. My wife and I went out there the other day, caught 24 pounds between the hours of 11 and 4, just messing around. It was all on an urchin bait, but the biggest one came on a big swim bait. Not going to lie. I will tell you that there's so many bass in that lake. So now you think about it, like logically speaking, if you have an overabundance of predator fish competing over a smaller bait fish population or the same bait fish population, it's going to stunt the growth. And so anglers need to understand, for every action is a reaction, right? Secondary and tertiary effects of what we're doing. So sometimes it's appropriate. And that's why you see these ponds for pond management. They cull out as many crappie as they can. They cull out the smaller bass so that they can grow the bigger bass. And the same thing stands for our lakes, guys. So like when you're on there on your keyboard, like before you make that first keystroke, just ask AI, dude. It'll tell you now. You don't even have to ask anyone else. But I just want to put that out there because I'm going to defend you guys, man.
As Trey says, everyone says bass does not taste bad. You fillet them up.
Ugh.
You bread them. You fry them up like any other crappie fish.
I'll feed them the bald eagles.
Yeah.
Grind them up and use them as fertilizer.
Exactly. There you go. They're good. They're good chicken feed.
Like fish. They taste like they're not.
Yeah. That's the problem, is they taste like fish.
Bluegill or anything like that. If you fry them up in the grease,
I don't know.
And I haven't done it in a long time, but
I'm gonna go with walleye. Like if we had walleye in, like, we do have walleye in North Carolina, but walleye is some of the best eating fish.
Walleye's good, crappie's great, but like black bass is not.
No, it's not like, terrible. If that's your thing, that's your thing.
Make it out to be.
Yeah. But the bottom line is there's a creel limit for a reason. You guys aren't going to take more bass out of the lake. That's going to harm the population of bass. But you have to get the data, right? Yeah, exactly. We have to know if it's working, and if it's not working, then we won't spend the money on doing it again.
Yeah.
Right.
And Jordan's so dirty that, like, if there's a fish deeper than 4 feet deep, we're not seeing it and we're not getting a net on it.
Oh, nope.
So, we're only getting the fish that are in that top 5 foot of the water column.
That makes me ask, like, how deep does your electric current go? Like,
we've caught them at lakes like Mycko. We've caught them down to like 12 feet.
Yeah.
Where we're like,
so how's that work with the physics, with the turbidity and the water and
so typically
the dissolved solids in there.
Yeah, the more solids you get in the water, the better, the more efficient we will be with that method. But if we don't see the fish to get the net on it, then it'll float up, but we won't get it in the boat because we can't see it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
A lot of times they'll like float up and then they'll start sinking slowly. So like if it's a turbid place or there's flow, we'll miss it. But in
so it's just not like they float immediately to the surface.
No, they have to be right there in that upper 4 or 5 foot for us to get in that.
How much do you think that affects your surveys then?
I don't know, Kelsey. What do you think?
I'm sure we're in the air, like in the
a lot. I don't want to put a number on it, but I'm sure we're missing a lot of fish.
We have like a target number and a target effort. And so we typically just keep going until we get that target effort. It might impact our CPU-E, which is like how many fish we catch per hour. But we don't really rely on that metric very often to like make decisions. We mostly rely on like growth and body condition. And
if I was swimming next to your boat when you were shocking, would I get zapped pretty
I would
bad?
not do that.
Well,
would
you
not
say
be a
that's
good
right.
idea.
I watched a YouTube video last night.
That would be a bad idea. No,
Well,
there are backpack units that can hit you and not kill you, but our boats, they're putting out some amperage.
Ooh.
Yeah, they do. So I watched a YouTube video last night about them. They set up an electrical barrier for the barges in the canal going to the Great Lakes to keep the carp out.
Mhm.
And there's like, I think it's like a mile, I don't know how many meters long, maybe 300 or 400 meters long warning, like, do not get in this water, you will die.
Yeah,
Like, but what's crazy is
thousands.
the barges going through when they push things, because you got multiple barges, but there's a little gap in between them because of the way the bow's shaped like this.
Mhm.
Apparently, small fish can get in there.
Oh, and they're
And basically like ignore so they have to increase the amperage and voltage go through there, because if they don't, and it's still very hard, there's some fish that can actually go all the way through that canal and still like not be affected by the current, even when the barge is going through. I was like, that is absolutely crazy that they number one, that they're using the electric thing as a barrier, but two, they figure that out. Like there's a little loophole that the fish, that they're smart enough, can get in there
Some determined
in the
fish.
Great Lakes, because they don't want the carp in the Great Lakes.
Oh no, man.
Yeah.
No, that was a huge travesty for anyone not following that whole Asian carp disaster that the what it started in like Tennessee River system
A
or
bunch of
something.
places, Kentucky Lake got
Kentucky
destroyed.
Lake and stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
I did a full report on it when I had to do it like it was like an elective for my criminal justice program. And like, I wrote this whole report on it. It was super snazzy, right? Got zero feedback on it. They were not interested in it. So I was like, cool. Yeah, whatever. I like fishing. You don't, whatever. Still got an A. No, I think I got a C, but you know, so when you guys are done shocking, you're taking your samples, both the fish, you're taking fin samples, you're doing it at tournaments. You're collecting all the data. It takes you a long time to get it back. You say you're doing some stuff in-house now to maybe expedite the process. What is it? Do we even have a projection on if we're going to keep doing this, or if this is basically like we're done stocking until we get enough data and then we'll go from there?
Yeah, I mean, right now we're still we don't have a hard decision. We haven't made a decision yet. And so I think like we're in the next week or so, we're actually supposed to get some of our results back from last year's samples. So we might have to redo this. But I would think like a couple more years of samples and we should be able to have enough data to make a concrete decision. But I know Virginia has said that it's taken upward to, 8 to 10 years before they're seeing a full, contribution benefit to the population.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, that makes a little bit. What do you know where they stocked them in Virginia at?
Smith Mountain Lake, Lake Anna.
Well, Lake Anna's the Dead Sea anyway. So
Clater Lake, I think.
Clater Lake.
They're further north. They're a little bit different fisheries.
Those two are small.
But Lake Anna, though, you say it's a Dead Sea, but it's also, there's two lakes there. There's a hot hole side, I believe. Am I right on that? That's a nuclear power plant lake.
Well, so I don't know if it's still there. There used to be kind of like Mayo and Mycko and places.
It's really, really good in the wintertime. Just go ahead and watch Gunfish TV. I'm going to go ahead and throw a plug out there for him. He goes to Anna and absolutely smashes. I mean, Clater Lake is our good friend Mike Burchett at Elevate Outdoors, his absolute favorite lake in Virginia. So,
but I mean, had a huge rebound over the last.
But that's the thing with these lakes, right? Like, so you talked about. I mean, yeah. So Kelsey talked about it. Like, it's taken 8 to 10 years to get some data back, and that's okay, right? Because this isn't an overnight initiative. We're just testing, right? This is a giant experiment, right? And so that brings me to the question. So we talked about it before, but for the new listeners, what was the absolute intent of the F1 stocking program? What's the intent behind it? Because I say that because 1,000,001 people were like, oh, this is how we're going to get rid of the Alabama spotted bass. No.
No.
What was the intent behind the project?
I wish we could train them, to go out there and eat all the Alabama bass. That's not a bad idea.
That'd make them worth the price.
Yeah.
Let's change the genetics in them. Let's do modification.
I think the original intent. So as fishery managers, we don't have, a ton of tools that we have direct impact on populations. And stocking is one of our main tools. And so our original intent was to set up an experiment that we could evaluate these stockings, but then B, our overall goal is to improve the fisheries, to increase the number of trophy bass that are in the lake, and to, and ultimately improve tournaments so that folks are able to catch a higher frequency of larger bass.
Yeah.
And what about unintended consequences? And so I asked that because, I think it's probably obvious to most anglers, like you introduce a completely new species, like the catfish and the Cape Fear, like the flatheads and stuff, blues. That's been going on 50 years, how big they grew. But more recently, like the Alabama bass introduction, they don't look very different than other spotted bass and stuff. Could there be, doesn't sound like there's data yet, but could there be unintended consequences with F1 introduction into fisheries with the entire ecosystem?
Yeah, there's always risks when you're introducing any stocking into a reservoir. One of the things we originally were thinking about is, we don't want them negatively impacting the resident bass of the lakes. And so we're, monitoring our resident bass, but then we also felt pretty confident that we weren't going to see any large negatives because the genetics are essentially, I don't want to say the same, but they have the same genes as the fish that are already in the lake. They're just proportioned differently. So it's not like we're introducing a whole new species.
It's not like we could see what Lake James is seeing, right? Where spots and smallmouth are, crossbreeding and basically gening out the purebred smallmouth. We don't assess that we'll see any of that. But if we did see that, F1s are just like bass on steroids, let's keep it going. You know what I mean?
That's what we hope. Yeah.
We have control of, we can stop stocking them. And then, the other thing to know, which we haven't really touched on today, is when an F1 makes a baby, it's not an F1 anymore.
Yeah. So I just Googled how is F1 different than normal largemouth bass? And one of the big things is, well, when they breed, it doesn't really matter. It creates and if an F1 has an exact 50 of northern, it's not that much, and it kind of depressures out. So the other question is, how much beneficial are we getting if it's one generation?
Funny tidbit to that is, we started doing our trophy bass genetics work at weigh-ins before we even started stocking, Jordan. And actually one of those fish that we sampled in 2022 came back as an F1.
Did it really?
Even
we talked about this.
Stocked in the lake. So somehow, some way, whether an angler paid for it and put it in there.
Well, I thought a lot of our
coastal bass happened, and that pure northern found the pure Florida. And
I thought either it was you, Seth, or maybe with Corey. I thought we talked about how a lot of our coastal bass had F1 genetics in it, and they were much more Florida strain. And so we asked, well, how'd they get up here? And
we don't really have a long.
They go into saltwater
far.
Yeah,
we
They're
don't know
not
what
really
was in
naturally
the river before the dam was built.
Yeah.
So what we had, I'm going to try to explain genetics. So hang on. But what we have in a lot of our Piedmont reservoirs, let's say, for instance, we have a fish that's out there right now that's 50% northern, 50% Florida. that's not an F1 because it got to those genes over multiple years of introgression with a bunch of other mutts, essentially. So an F1 has 50% of its genes from a pure mom or dad, northern, and then a pure mom or dad, Florida. And so 50% of its genes come from each one of those. So then, it's sort of like dog breeding. If you were to have a purebred dog, and then that dog has babies with, let's say, a non-purebred dog, the babies are not going to be purebred anymore, right? It's the same concept. So this is a put and grow fishery, put, grow, take fishery. We're putting them in there for the anglers, essentially. Mm-hmm. We're not trying to influence the overall genes of our lakes, like in some instances. They are trying to do that. But in North Carolina right now, we're just putting them in there, seeing how they do. And
according to the AI thing I brought up, it said even if two F1 bass breed, their offspring, F2, F3, etc., they suffer from outbreeding depression. Yeah. Even the two pure, I guess F1, right? They're 50-50 to begin with anyway. So they're not pure Florida strain, but like then it just continues to decline. So like it's great for the anglers and all, but like how much is what's like diminishing returns on it? Like is it really going to change the fishery? And if you stop the stocking today, is it really gonna is Jordan, Gaston, Norman, etc., like regardless of the nutrient level of the lakes, is it really going to change in 10 years? Like 10 years, most of those fish, if you stop stocking today, are going to be gone.
Yeah, that's all things we're setting out to figure out, and we don't have all the answers yet. And we're working with geneticists who share concerns about the ultimate, like what's the end goal? What's going to happen? Let's say we're stocking them for 50 years from now. What's that going to do to the genetics of the population? And so maybe a program in the future looks like stocking every 5 years or something like that. And so we're not, we just don't have all the answers yet.
And that's always where I pivot to habitat, because, as the lake continues to age, there's going to be more silt coming in. And, more issues from wake boat traffic and things like that. And that's where we got to start doing habitat.
You know what that means, Seth?
We could have all the great genes we want in the lake if they don't have the good habitat to swim in and for the anglers to pursue the fish in.
Yeah. I have an answer for that, Seth.
Oh, here we go.
Hydrilla.
I thought you were going to go a totally different direction. I was going to say ban wake boats, but that's not.
I would love to ban wake boats. Trust me.
Hey, listen, if I gotta buy a fishing license and that goes towards our funding, then wake boats need to have a wakeboarding license or something. You know what I mean? Like, come on, man, to help that money go towards habitat and stuff. And Seth, we were going to hit on some of that. I do got some questions. We're going to run over a little over an hour if that's okay with you guys. But You talked about replanting aquatic vegetation initiatives and stuff. The greenhouse project you were talking about. You want to hit on some of that stuff?
Yeah. Kelsey, you ready to pivot from F1s, or you want to stay on the F1 train?
Unless Ben's got anything else on F1s.
I would before we pivot real quick. I just wanted to share some of the stuff that we did find in Norman. So we have a couple of years.
We have some preliminary stuff.
I can go fast.
No, you're good. Take your time.
We haven't caught a ton of fish from Norman that were identified as F1s, but the ones that we have caught over the last 3 years have shown signs of faster growth. And of all of the ages each year, F1s were the largest. So what we're seeing from the very small sample size that we have is that F1s at every single age are like significantly larger than the resident bass.
Are they don't tell us if you have the answer.
Okay.
Here, we'll talk offline. But were they concentrated in certain areas of the lake?
Would you like me to tell you where we found them?
No, I
in
just want an answer where they
Probably
concentrated in certain areas of the
Mountain
lake.
Creek.
And then we can talk about it offline, so not everyone can hear. So when we go there,
Creary Creek and Mountain
we
Creek.
know.
Yeah. Surprisingly, I think we were expecting to find most of them in the northern part of the lake near Hicks Creek where we stocked them, just because that has like the best habitat. But most of our recaptures have been toward the bottom of the lake near
Really?
Ramsey Creek, where that eelgrass is.
Yes.
I don't know if I should talk about that, but yeah,
Is
that's where we
eelgrass
found a
native?
lot of them.
Is it native?
Yeah.
It is. Yeah.
So keep the eelgrass, Lake Norman. It is blasting in Ramsey.
Yeah.
Don't ask me how my tournament went there because I absolutely bombed it. But nevertheless, like that eelgrass is exploding, and that is perfect habitat. And there are giant largemouth down there. I will tell you this: if you guys want to collect data, go to the hook setters tournaments. They happen at nighttime on Lake Norman. That is when the biggest largemouth are caught.
Yeah, for sure.
And definitely take all their bass. Before we pivot to the vegetation initiatives, Department of a lot of people ask the question like, why can't we do what Texas does? Why can't we do what other states do? Well, my answer is it boils down to money, right? I'm sure you guys would say the same thing. Yeah. But when it comes to our stocking initiatives and stuff, also this as well, our lakes, especially in the central Piedmont region or in the Piedmont region, like we don't have the ramp infrastructure like Green Pond Landing in South Carolina and places that are really designed for massive national level tournaments to come. But we still get a lot of people traveling to North Carolina to fish our lakes because they are so good. Is the Department of Tourism involved in our fishing initiatives from like saying like they have a goal of trying to help you guys out or whatever it is so that we can attract anglers all the time and stuff like that to bring in money to the state? I
don't know the answer to that.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't either.
All right, we're gonna get our
might be a
Department of
higher level.
Tourism.
Great. Looks like you need to run for governor.
Yeah,
I am not going to do
Learn
that.
those things.
We worked at the city level before
All
with
right.
city partners.
Well,
I think those are the kinds of
social
things.
media teams at the city level, but I don't know about the state level.
Okay.
Yeah, we would work with them to provide accommodation, for folks like discounts on certain things or whatever. But as far as them footing the bill to market certain tournaments and lakes, I don't know that happens.
Yeah,
I know we're running up and out here. We need to talk a little bit about vegetation, but one of the things it has shown out in North Carolina, and we talked about earlier, is the passive tank and how well the passive tank is fishing. And of course, last year Welcher just dominated with over 100 pounds over 4 days, and this year is very good for Bassmaster. We know already MLF's coming here next year. They went to Chowan too. So 2 things before we get off here, because I think Seth, we mentioned in the beginning, like, why is the passive tank so well the last few years, and why is it going to continue to be well? And then what's the vegetation initiative? So let's, and maybe they merge together, maybe not.
So those coastal systems are all about mortality, right? So we're actually on a good run of no dissolved oxygen events because of a hurricane now. Mm-hmm. So those largemouth in the coast,
unfortunately,
being allowed.
I need one right now for all the drought.
yeah, it would be beneficial for some inland reservoirs, but it wouldn't be good for the dissolved oxygen on the coast. Wherever those systems hit, it really, really hurts their oxygen levels, and there's a lot of fish kills after hurricanes. Mm-hmm. So right now, a lot of those big bass are being allowed to live 6, 7, 8, 9 years.
Wow. Yep.
So that's what we're seeing is just fish get older and have all the forage that they want to forage on.
That's right.
They got blue crabs and menhaden runs and you name it, they can eat it down there. So they are old and fat and just
they are
enjoying life. Now that one hurricane can reset that whole system.
Yep.
100%. They'll kill. I mean, you get a big flood, they'll all be up on I-90 like it was.
And the Rowan,
I-95.
the Roanoke River for the audience, like you may ask yourself, like, why has the Roanoke River, like, it's not pumping out as big a fish as it did about 5-6 years ago.
Yeah.
And I think there was a fish kill down there within the last 4 years or something like that, at least according to some of the guides down there that just, you know, they're on the water every day. And so they saw some of the effects of some tropical storms and hurricanes that come through. But the reality is like, everyone seems to believe that the fish just live up in the lily pads all the time down there. Let me tell you something right now. If you're fishing down there and you think that 18 foot of water is too deep, it's not.
Yeah.
Like, those fish are all over that system.
Fish will get out in the sound on stumps and stuff.
Oh man, like it's loaded with them. So you know, and that makes sense. And you know, Welcher put on his own shock survey last year. He should have collected all those fish because he absolutely smashed them. But yeah. Go ahead, Seth.
Where it's really important for us to know the age of those fish, to know how fast they're growing, because those big fish are probably the oldest fish in that system right now.
Well, so when you think about it, when was the last big? 2018. That was Florence that just wiped everything out.
Yeah.
So it's been doggone. It's been 8 years. And of course, before that, we had Matthew and that big nor'easter came through and a bunch of things, but like, I think we've had some little systems, but like we haven't had anything like that for 8 years. And we're kind of, I hate to say it, we're kind of due for one in North Carolina because, like, you know, it happens. And for the inland reservoirs need the rain. What we need is about 3 like really light tropical storms, not any major hurricanes that will destroy anything. But like, because I think in the Cape Fear, even though the wildlife people, after Matthew or Florence, like I used to fish the Cape Fear below Jordan a lot. Yeah. Between 2015, 18, 19. But after Matthew, I think it was either Matthew or Florence came through because they were 2 years apart. Like the fishing died there. Like it used to be like, because it's not very long. I mean, you go stretches without fishing, but you find the right quarter, half mile stretch, you catch 100 fish.
Yeah,
like you would absolutely and they weren't, you know, you catch 3 or 4 pounders, but most of them are little, but you would just destroy them on a Texas rig trick worm or whatever.
Yeah.
But after some of those floods, like it completely died, and game warden stopped me one day, and I asked him like, and basically what happened, and they said, well, we haven't any noticed fish kills. I was like, that's hard for me to believe because everything was flooded out, and like the fishing, and I haven't probably fished it since 2020. I'll go back. Let's go down there.
Yeah, I mean, they had a tournament out there this year, and it took 24 pounds to win, right? So there's definitely big fish still in there, and they're constantly I don't know if they go over the Jordan Dam or not. I'm assuming they do. But yeah, anyways, but we, you know, outside of us needing a couple tropical storms and all that stuff, we need some vegetation. So Seth, you want to hit on some of the vegetation initiatives that NCWRC is working on?
Yep. So we were actually pretty fortunate. We got a big grant from Friends of Reservoirs, and we got some money from AFTCO and some money from the Fish America Foundation. Am I leaving any other partners out, Kelsey? I think those were the big 3 donors, and we put some sport fish restoration money into it. And we actually built a aquatic plant greenhouse at our facility in Mebane. So it's a 3,000 square foot facility that will hopefully eventually be able to grow 18,000 pots a year out of.
What are we thinking about growing in there?
The bulk of that will end up being water willow, probably.
Okay.
With spatter dock being number 2, and anywhere from 6 to 7 more species after that.
Is coontail native?
Yeah, and we are growing some coontail here and there.
If I take a bunch out of my lake and just like and just dropped it in, that's okay. It's not high.
No, we don't endorse that because you never know what you can do.
You gotta endorse it, but
now we're gonna have some like Alabama coontail invasive species.
No. The problem with my lake is,
and there's small
A2A lakes, and they've been spraying it forever. But these guys don't know how to manage anything. They're a bunch of retards, and sorry for that, but like I grew up, that's what they are. About 5 years ago, there used to be a bunch of milfoil too, about 4 or 5 feet deep.
Okay.
In deeper water. But the coontail wouldn't grow much deeper than that. And there was a little coontail shallow, but they sprayed everything and killed all the milfoil. And then the coontail took over. I mean, the coontail was growing like in 20 foot of water, and it just took over.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of my little boat slip right now. And it's just like, you sure I can't just like leave that stuck to my boat and go to Harris and just like drop a bunch in there? Because
it's in Harris, actually.
We actually planted some in Harris.
And it's spreading all by itself. Yeah.
Exactly.
Where's it at again?
And we
shoot.
We actually I guess for lack of a better term, quarantine it for about a year before we put it in any of the public waters. So we keep an eye on it, make sure no other plants are growing with it, make sure no snails or clams are in it. And then we know it's the plant that we want planted out there once we put it out there.
Where's it growing? What creek is it growing in on Sharon Harris? Do you know?
That's a good question.
I can't remember the name of it. I was just
Tom Jack, White Oak.
It sounds like
it's probably on the west side, if I were assuming.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I'll find it. I just need to know the vicinity.
It's probably not. You
can contact Kirk Rundle or David Malkowski. They'll know.
That stuff will take over fast. And
and
I think that was the problem. Because now they're spraying everything, and all the boaters and owners got mad because they're not really fishermen. Because that milfoil was actually, I think, keeping it contained because it really couldn't get out that much.
On your lake you're talking about?
Yeah, on my lake, because that milfoil was like, it wasn't a very wide stretch. Basically, 3 or 4 feet off the bank, 3 or 4 foot of water, there was a patch of milfoil, maybe about 2.5 feet, 3 feet wide. And then it dropped off. It got too deep, I think, for the milfoil to grow, but the coontail couldn't really get out there.
Yeah.
Most places. But they killed all that, but the milfoil took over, and it just over 1 year, it went from it's a little bit on the bank to now it's growing in 20 foot of water. And of course, they dropped the lake water and they sprayed, and they're a bunch of idiots. They don't realize this stuff will grow in 20 foot of water. Hey, don't get me wrong. It was some great for fishing, but at the same time, it's also difficult for fishing because when you got acres of coontail that are basically 2 feet from the surface too, it also makes it difficult for fishing because where are they at? They could be anywhere in this path.
Yeah.
So there's pluses and minuses to that, but that stuff takes over fast.
Oh, for sure.
Does. Yeah, when you don't have turtles, it does.
Yeah.
Oh, we got turtles.
So with this drought we got going on right now, there was some water willow for those of you guys who fish Sharon Harris Reservoir, which is 10 minutes down the road from my house. There was some water willow growing there.
Yeah.
That's clearly dead now. Does that come back with this drought? It will.
Yeah. So there's rhizomes under the soil.
Okay.
Even if the vegetative portion of the plant dies back, those rhizomes, if they stay moist enough, they'll sprout back the next year.
Is a drought actually a good time to plant water willow and stuff like that?
It's a great time. And we're actually
all the grass out there
and there's submergent plants that just shallow, slow water like spatterdock and pondweed. They are going nuts at Oak Hollow right now. They are loving life because they're just wet enough to just spread and grow, and they're not getting flooded at all. So they are spreading like wildfire.
When they get flooded again and the water comes up, are they gone pretty quick, or does it take a season or two?
Yeah, as long as they don't get 10 feet of water on them, they'll be fine.
Okay. They need UV penetration, right?
Yeah, it's those major floods that shade out everything with light penetration is that's what happened to Jordan last summer with Chantal. It got 19 feet of water in it in the middle of summer, and all the vegetative growth along the shoreline just got shaded out.
Remember, we don't need a hurricane. We just need the waters to come up to normal levels.
We just need to come up normal.
Steady sprinklers.
So I want to have some fun here before we end the show. But before I do this, Kelsey, Seth, anything you guys want to add to the topics discussed with F1s, with social media keyboard warriors, to the aquatic vegetation initiatives, the greenhouse, anything like that? Anything you want to add for the listeners before we move on?
Yeah, I'll just add that if there's somewhere you want plants we're probably getting to the point where you can just come pick them up from us and take them where you want them.
What?
As long as that's a public water that's open to fishing, just come pick up some water willow and go plant it.
No kidding.
That
Yeah.
sounds like a video we should do, Trey.
Yeah, you don't have to just tell us what lake you took it to. You don't have to tell me where you planted it.
Really?
Yeah, well, beginning next summer, we'll be to that level where.
Are you guys going to teach the folks on how to plant it?
Yeah, we could run through that. At
Okay,
awesome.
Yeah.
Maybe
you could
that's
bring
something we can do.
up to our greenhouse, and we could load you down with plants, and you can run out. Tell us what lake you're taking it to,
Yeah.
and then
Oh,
go.
maybe we get some partnerships with that. That'd be awesome, Trey.
You know, I don't want to be a Debbie Downer here. Sorry to all the Debbies out there, but you know, maybe we do want to make sure they take it to that lake because like who's to say they don't take it to their private pond, man?
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
We'll have to police it a little bit.
Yeah.
I got an island. I could plant a bunch of water willow on my little private.
You know what
lake
we need? We need vegetation around the island at Jordan that the cormorants absolutely destroyed with their acidic poo poo.
What island are you talking about?
That one's gone. It's gone.
Man, the
Which one are you
island
talking
around
about?
right by New Hope, right out there by the roadbed. That island, all that
I-
timber's completely gone from
I barely
you
go
know,
over there,
it's all poo pooed out, you know,
I
and
call that
they're doing
Poop Island.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if they weren't federally protected migratory birds, I'd say we need to have a open season for about 2 weeks and create bass food. But you know, nevertheless, so I want to have some fun here. And I'm gonna turn this over to Kelsey and Seth. But you know, Bassmaster just released their top 100 lakes in the United States. They always, you know, have it broken down by region. So I'm gonna give you 4 here, and you guys got to rank them. So we'll see if this lines. We'll see if this lines up with how they're ranked. All right.
Okay.
So Falls Lake, North Carolina, or I don't have to put North Carolina in there. Albemarle Sound,
Okay.
Jordan Lake, and High Rock Lake. If you were to rank them 1 through 4, what would they be?
Oh, my personal fishing experience is going to bias my list.
All right, ladies first. Kelsey, you go first.
I mean, Jordan has a special place in my heart. So I'm going to just put Jordan as number 1.
So Kelsey's going Jordan number 1.
Jordan number 1, Albemarle number 2, Falls, and then High Rock.
Okay. All right.
Seth, are we on the same page or?
I'm going to be a contrarian.
Oh, okay.
I'll put old High Rock at number 1.
High Rock's
wow.
number 1.
Yeah.
Bassmaster Classic was held at High Rock Lake, if you all remember. Didn't Brian Kirchhoff win it there? Was it Brian that won it there?
Yeah, he did.
Yep, Brian Kirchhoff.
I don't know if he won it there or he qualified the first year.
Oh,
there.
okay,
I don't
yep.
know which one it was, but yeah.
Yep.
Just because I love dock fishing. And there's
Okay.
so docks.
All
Which I
right.
guess the Pascatank has docks. I need to get down there and fish.
Oh,
docks.
it definitely has docks, dude. And
Not
they're on
High
that
Rock.
koi key bite.
But yeah, I'd do High Rock, Jordan, Falls, Pascatank, just because I never fished at Pascatank.
Oh man! All right, so,
So
go ahead, man.
Can I give mine?
Yeah, go for it.
So I want to get past the tank 1.
I'm right
and
there.
I say that because I'm including all like the Bassmaster waters with Chowan and stuff, and I haven't been over there since probably 2007.
Well, that's what it is. It's Albemarle Sound, Pascatank River, Roanoke River, Chowan, North
But,
Alligator.
So I actually haven't fished it
All the
probably
coastal
like
rivers.
8 years or so, but I did win a tournament over there, and it's just producing so well. I probably put Jordan too, just because I've caught so many big fish with Jordan local. I probably put High Rock 3. Actually, I've never fished High Rock.
Mm.
Yeah.
I fished pretty much all the other Yak and Chain lakes, but that's the one I
Okay.
haven't been to. Baden's my nemesis. I hate Baden. I love Tillery, but
Yeah.
Tuckertown, it used to be Snodgrass, but I heard that's gone. But
It was that bacteria that Seth talked about a couple episodes ago. If folks haven't heard about that, go
And
back
then
and listen
Fall-
to that episode.
also be last, mostly because I got to pass Jordan and Harris to get there. It's just like,
That's
why,
a good point. Yeah.
why would I drive an extra 30, 40 minutes unless
That's a great
You know,
point. Yeah.
and in 2016 or 17, I caught my PB there in a tournament. I drove back from Missouri overnight, fished kind of half a day on Friday and during like 30-mile-an-hour winds for a practice. Fished a tournament, caught a 6.9, flipping a Texas rig creature bait in a tournament, and that was my PB at the time for like a couple of years. So that I would probably put that last because I just never get up there, and I never really figured falls out.
Yeah.
Falls.
I mean,
it can be tricky.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess I'll give mine. The Sound is number 1. High Rock, never fished it, but it's going to be number 2. Falls number 3, and Jordan number 4. The reason for the Sound and High Rock is one of the things that frustrates me about the fisheries here is you can't pattern fish here outside of the spawn, really. Yeah. So when it comes for like a good tournament, and I mean, not being ungrateful, like a 3-pound class fish is a good fish for anybody that fishes competitively. If you can catch 5 3-pounders in every tournament, you're doing something right. We're super spoiled with Jordan and Falls Lake because we grow superhuman bass for some odd reason, nutrient level and stuff like that is great. But when it comes to pattern fishing, I really enjoy that. That's why I like Carr Lake or Kerr or Bugs and Gaston. And, some of the other, and the Sound is the same way. If they're on the left side of the cypress trees, or on the left side of the cypress trees, run that pattern. You know what I mean? Unless you're talking about the docks, then they're on an urchin bite bait, no matter where you're at. Out of that list, though, do you think any of those lakes shouldn't be on there and they should be replaced by another lake?
Yes. Oh, you're going to get me in trouble.
All right, Seth, you go first because you're getting in trouble.
Get me in big trouble.
You go first. He's going to say Mebane.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that cat's out of the bag already. There's a city lake in the middle portion of the state in Alamance County near the city of Mebane that is probably the best bass fishery in the state.
I mean, if you're going to say that, I'm going to say McIntosh because I just I have destroyed McIntosh.
Yeah, no, it's a good fishery, but there's one near there that's a little bit better. I promised never to say it by the exact name on air, but it's near the city of Mebane in St. Alamance County.
All right,
and it deserves a high spot in North Carolina fisheries.
But it doesn't deserve a spot in this magazine so that the cat's not out of the bag.
Oh, no.
All right, 10-4. Kelsey, what you got? Do you think anything should be replaced?
I mean, what is like for me as a fisheries biologist versus what they're basing their, criteria on is probably going to be a lot example,
I mean, their criteria really boils down to they take local tournament weights, right?
Yeah.
So for example, they use a lot of cat events, the Carolina Team Trail tournaments. In fact, they pretty much
they use some Fisher and Men's too.
They use Fishers and Men. They use cats. They used to use the old Piedmont Bass Classics, which is now Elevate Outdoors Team Trail. So they use a lot of local tournament data to basically rank these lakes, right? But, we talked about it earlier. There's a difference between good fishing and a good fishery. Yeah. So from you as a subject matter expert in that area, like what would you say outside of their tournament data?
I mean, I think they're pretty accurate every year. I think it reflects what we're seeing in our surveys, but there's a lot of hidden gems out there that are small municipal lakes that are amazing fisheries, and they're not going to be tournament. They don't have the infrastructure to hold tournaments, but I think any angler would have a great time out there. Like, for instance, in Durham, Lake Mycko is a phenomenal fisheries, right? Especially right now because of the drought. It's like funneled them all into you can't access it right now.
Yeah, but it's totally a great lake.
I bet I can find
going in with some heat. She named one by name.
But when they school there during the summer, they're in like 6 to 8 foot of water, and they're like in droves of thousands. And you can take a plug or you throw anything at them, and they absolutely chew it. Topwater is really good there too, by the way. But you can't access it right now, so don't even try to go there, folks.
Can't access it, and maybe that'll do Falls some good. With the drought, the whole upper end of the lake is a grassland.
My
so,
favorite part of Falls Lake is completely inaccessible right now.
yeah.
Especially as you go up towards Cheek Road and 85. Like you can't, I can't get there, right? I need to ride a 4-wheeler out there, which is probably illegal in some way, shape, or form too, but whatever.
Yeah. And there could be some bass that went up the Flat River, the Eno River, and are just
there's
hanging
some white
out
bass for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely. You know, Sharon Harris, for all you listeners out there that hated on it for so long, I just want to say, like, look at the tournament results. These last couple times took 23 pounds, over 23 to win a tournament, took another 29 pounds to win a tournament out there. I just dropped a 24-pound sack, 21-pound 3-fish limit was weighed in on a Wednesday nighter. Stop killing the fish, do good live well management, maybe change it up, guys. It's not a good look for tournament anglers. Our fisheries are cyclical, right? Like they ebb and flow, and you guys are doing your best to make sure that you keep the fisheries good for us. Maybe we can get the Department of Tourism involved and say, hey, look, like let our good fisheries, good fishing, either or, attract a lot of people that travel all over the continental United States and abroad to come here and catch big bass. And in fact, we're seeing more national level presence come to our neck of the woods. You know, Bassmaster, we fished Norman this year. BFLs are always held on Kerr Lake. The Elite Series was here on the Tank. MLF Bass Pro Tour's coming back. They're coming to the Tank. Like, so we're starting to get a lot more stuff, you know, and that brings a lot of money to the economy, right? Like Airbnbs, gas, food, everything, right? Mechanics. And so that's an important thing. And so what you guys are doing is extremely important for our fisheries. And what I wanted you guys to tell the audience too is, like, how do they contact you if they have any questions? And how do they contact you if they have any questions?
The best way is probably just a quick Google search, right, Kels? Just NCWRC fish biologist.
And send an email.
And so the whole map will be there when you do that.
We have our distribution map on there, and it'll have all the district biologists. I don't know if my number is publicly available, but people can email me, kelsey.roberts@ncwildlife.org. And I was also going to mention something I forgot to mention is we have a website dedicated solely to the or a web page dedicated to the F1 project. So and we keep that really up to date. We have been adding our results as we get them on there. Okay. And so people can, you know, if you just search NCWRC F1 bass, it'll pop up and you can. Okay.
We'll make sure we put that. We'll make sure we put that in the description in this video so people can click on it, go right to the website and stuff and monitor that. And then as far as like community forums or any sort of events, are you guys hosting anything? I know it's tough because you don't want to get a bunch of crybabies in the room at one time, but are you pushing this message outside of our podcast? Are you pushing this message anywhere else? Two Ball Biologist podcast, you know, all that stuff, you know, where else can they find more information?
Yeah, of course, our social media pages.
Yep.
And we're hoping to put together, we had somewhat of a failed summit a few weeks ago, but we'll hopefully put one of those together when people aren't fishing and get people out talking to us.
Awesome. Well, that's
it's
awesome,
really
guys.
difficult to host in person. We don't get as much engagement on in-person sort of outreach events, but things like this podcast, being able to, you know, be on social media has been the most beneficial.
Awesome. Yeah. Ben, what you got for them?
Nothing about a couple of things maybe after we get offline, but nothing right here. Okay.
Seth, Kelsey, any final words for the audience before we end the show?
No, just thanks for having us. Don't move Alabama bass. I had to mention it at least once.
We harp on that. Hey, folks, there's a reason they put signs up at every single one of these lakes.
If you want to get mad at Trey, you're supposed to kill every single one spotted bass.
You are absolutely right. I caught my personal best Alabama spotted bass a couple years ago, 6 pounds even out of Lake Gaston. No, I did not. I was not on the Virginia side, or else I would have set a record. and I threw it back, man. And and he fought like a sack of potatoes. It was January, February time for him. Caught him on a little minnow, right out of a brush pile. It was crazy. But no, we appreciate you guys coming on here and providing information to the audience, educating people. Look, there's a lot of critics out there. We support you guys. We're gonna have your backs. We know that you're doing what you need to do to take care of our fisheries for generations beyond us. To enjoy those natural resources and man-made resources. So stay online. Don't jump off just yet. I'm going to end this show. Folks, if you want to check out NCWRC, just go to their website. We'll put links in the description of the video, and these guys can share it all over their platforms, and we'll send it to them. Thanks for helping these guys and helping us continue growing a culture of anglers, helping anglers one cast at a time.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Oh God, it's a toad, son. It's a toad, dude.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day.